Okay, today we're going to tie a boatman. Some people call them back swimmers, boatmen. They are two separate bugs. But for all intent and purposes, we're going to call this one a boatman. It's going to be a little smaller than the back swimmer. I'm going to use a number 14 scud hook, and I get my materials mainly from trout bums. I get a good service. Shipping is cheap. I even get my beads there. Now I'm going to use on this boatman a red bead, magic brown. I'll put that on first. There we go. I have that on. There's a wide gap and a hole in the bead and a narrow one. I'm going to put the narrow one up front, and when I tie chironomids I usually reverse it. But for this fly I put it up front. Okay. Now, the 14 barbless, the magic brown bead, and I'm going to be using a 70 thread. It's a brown olive thread. It's a nice dark thread. Now I'll stack a little bit of thread up here. There we go. Now in this boatman, I'm going to be using scudback. It's a brown scudback. Go down to the bend of the hook. Like so. Now, I'm going to come up a bit. For the body, I'm going to use, it's called Ice Dub Peacock Black. Because the boatmen in my area up here in British Columbia, northern British Columbia, are generally dark, almost like a black. So this pattern works well in this area. I'll get this out of the road. Bring that forward. Now the boatman is wider at the front than at the back. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to stop my dubbing there because I want to tie in my legs. For the legs, I'm using some brown crazy legs or stretch material. It has a natural bend, and you want that bend at the front. Like so. You can trim for length later. Secure them in nice and tight. I'll just get some of this out of the road. Now I'll put a little more daubing on here. Now, pull the legs forward and get some dubbing on the front of that. I'm going to put a little more dubbing on the shoulders. Remember, the front of this is going to be a little wider than the back. Give yourself some room to tie off your shell back. Okay. Secure it down and trim it off. Give yourself a whip finish here. Not a very hard fly to tie. What I'm going to do here is just trim some of the excess. Now, be very careful that you don't shorten the legs too much. That's your back swimmer. What I do to finish this off, well, back swimmer or boatman, I'm going to call this one a boatman. It's nice and dark and not too big. I'm going to use coat the back with it tight super glue. That'll make it a nice shiny back. Get your whip finish coated as well. See how shiny that is? Makes for a beautiful fly. I fished this boatman right after off, and again in the fall, late fall. You're going to enjoy this pattern, and it's not a hard one to tie.